There's a complete lack of faith in Los Angeles city leaders to address homelessness, according to a policy expert. A recently published survey shows one thing that almost every Angeleno can agree on is the severity of homelessness in the area.
Los Angeles residents say they do not trust city and county officials to adequately address the spiraling homelessness crisis flooding the streets. That's according to a survey published on Thursday from a nonpartisan coalition of civil leaders and community members.
This is a situation in which you've heard over and over again that voters are sophisticated about this. They understand what's going on. They are empathetic, but they are tired of being fearful. They're tired of being disgusted. They're tired of their elected officials not solving the problem.
Sragao, a longtime policy expert, said government efforts to move both encampments and individuals was discussed at length during surveys. Unless we stop the drugs, homelessness isn't going anywhere. 90% is drugs, one Latino voter said, according to the survey. An African-American voter told pollsters, people are taking advantage of no bail. They're doing the crime, getting arrested, then doing it again. A December Los Angeles Times survey found that 94% of residents saw homelessness as a very serious issue.
In all the years I've watched focus groups or conducted focus groups, and it's, in the hundreds, been doing this for decades, never have I seen this kind of consistency in focus group results.
The Committee for Greater LA organized groups of Angelenos for the survey. Residents said officials have no accountability for spending taxes, no consistent plan, and no successful tactics. One policy complaint was LA's Proposition HHH from 2016. It allocated $1.2 billion to build 10,000 permanent supportive housing units for the homeless. As of 1 year ago, 489 units have been built, and homelessness has risen by 45% in the last 5 years. The report estimated about 2/3 of the country's homeless population resides in Los Angeles, which equates to about 41,000 individuals on the streets. The survey found that Angelenos are hoping for a non-government organization to take over solving the homeless issue.
To be inelegant about this, they see this against a backdrop of corruption in LA city government, to be blunt about it. So no, this is not a time to ask for more money. And if I could add one thing here, context is important. We're in an election year.
The Committee for Greater LA sent the results to elected officials and candidates, urging them to listen to their constituents.
A Southern California school has removed a teaching tool that promotes critical race theory. The director of a group opposed to the theory says California schools are already widely teaching the ideas while covering them up at the same time.
A San Diego school says it has removed its Wheel of Privilege teaching tool after parental backlash from it being exposed on social media. The wheel is a tool founded in critical race theory, or CRT, to rank people based on certain characteristics. Some of those include race, sexuality, and body weight. The executive director of Californians for Equal Rights Foundation, or CFER, posted the image to Twitter. CFER wrote in a Wednesday newsletter that the divisive theory alarmed them. Educators received training to use the wheel for teaching middle schoolers. The image was part of a professional development training for Black Mountain Middle School and Poway Unified School District. School principal Scott Corso said in an email to a parent that the wheel was an idea shared at an Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, Awareness, or Big Idea committee meeting. Corso wrote that after receiving feedback, they decided against using the wheel. He wrote that the school has no interest in promoting CRT, but mounting evidence says otherwise. A CFER newsletter wrote that educators stubbornly deny using CRT while already propagating the tenets of its pseudoscientific ideas. CFER's executive director, Wenyan Wu, said, "It does not change the fact that it's teaching or indoctrinating our kids with very bad, illiberal, and un-American ideas about race in our society." CFER encourages a robust rebuttal to the narrative of victimhood and disempowerment. Corso said the next Big Idea Committee meeting is on Tuesday, February 15th at 6 p.m. on Zoom.
Authorities announced on Wednesday that ahead of the Super Bowl, they have seized tens of millions of dollars worth of fake sporting goods. The seizure came during an operation to crack down on illegal imports. NTD's Eileen Ng has the details.
Local and federal authorities teamed up to identify online marketplaces, flea markets, retail outlets, pop-up shops, and street vendors selling counterfeit goods during the weeks leading up to the Super Bowl. They seized items such as fake jerseys, hats, rings, t-shirts, jackets, tickets, souvenirs, and thousands of other sports-related items. The products have been prepared to be marketed as legitimate, authentic items.
I mean, this is a problem that we're never going to be able to resolve just by conducting law enforcement operations. It's an issue that we have to educate the public like we're doing now, so people can actually differentiate between a counterfeit and a real product.
Ricardo Mayoral, acting director of the National Intellectual Property Rights Coordination Center, pointed out some signs of a fake item.
First thing you will notice is the quality of the stitching. You see the stitching bleeding over from one letter to the other.
Mayoral said holograms can give telltale signs of forgery.
But if you incline it towards the light, you won't be able to see the actual colors. And then you will notice that it's two footballs and the football in the back is barely noticeable.
They estimate over 260,000 counterfeit sports-related items, worth about $97.8 million, were recovered during Operation Team Player. The operation is a year-round effort to crack down on illegal importation of fake sports apparel and entertainment merchandise.
Some of these jerseys or fake jerseys and or T-shirts, we don't know where they're coming from. Sometimes they help support organized crime. Sometimes they come from host countries that are not necessarily friendly to the United States.
In 2021, authorities seized over 2,600 shipments of counterfeit goods worth approximately $822 million. The result came by policing the sale and distribution of counterfeit goods on websites, social media, retail stores, and pop-up shops. Eileen Ang, NTD News, California.
A large Northern California health system is getting sued for overcharging its patients, but the health firm claims there's no evidence of that.
3 million plaintiffs filed a lawsuit against Sutter Health alleging that the company abused its market power and caused enormous adverse economic impacts by discouraging patients from using lower-cost insurance and lower-cost hospitals. It alleges that Sutter overcharged its own services, about $400 million in insurance premium overcharges, to the plaintiffs between 2011 to 2017. The lawsuit claims Sutter used its market power for inpatient services in 7 mostly rural Northern California areas. The health giant poses monopoly power as the only or dominant hospital in these regions. The law allows triple damages if the plaintiffs win against Sutter Health, meaning a potential award of $1.2 billion. In a statement, Sutter Health said it looks forward to showing that its integrated healthcare network provides high-quality care that creates efficiencies, drives down total cost of care, and benefits the diverse communities we serve. The system operates 24 hospitals with more than 12,000 doctors and 16,000 nurses.
Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and demand for flowers has blossomed. In some regions, the cost of flowers have doubled due to supply chain issues stemming from the pandemic.
The week of Valentine's Day, florists have the second most busy time of the year after Mother's Day. But during the pandemic, flower shortages became a big issue for florists. Mark Shadoff houses 30 flower wholesalers at his flower mall in downtown Los Angeles. He says that certain flowers are in short supply for the special occasion.
So it's becoming more challenging to get flowers into the area. However, clearly it's happening. It's just a lot of pressure. There may be some types of flowers that are maybe more in a limited supply. You know, there's a shortage in what I understand with white flowers, roses and whatnot.
A shop owner said the low supplies are bottlenecked with ships and planes.
It affects a lot of people because of the problem they had at the port, because some flowers are coming on the boat, on the ships, some of them on the airplanes, and they're delaying the flights for some reason, especially from the boat, from the port.
Florists said all flower prices are up, especially roses. Inflation, logistics, and supply issues are all influencing this year's bouquets. Lizette Martinez says she is paying double compared to last spring.
You know, even the prices have gone up. I'm still able to, do the arrangements, and they don't mind about the price, which is kind of surprising.
According to the National Retail Federation, consumer spending is expected to reach $23.9 billion this Valentine's Day.
I don't think you can put a price tag on the cost of love. I think it's something there is no value. It has ultimate value. So you do what you have in your heart, and you flood your loved one with flowers and your appreciation.
Chadoff and other florists are looking forward to Mother's Day with hopes of better prices and more flowers.
Scientists at the NASA Ames campus near Mountain View work day and night to understand the secrets and mysteries of space. But there is one head-scratching question even rocket scientists struggle to solve. Where did the wild turkeys come from? NTD's Cynthia Kai tried to find an answer and learn more about NASA's uninvited and unwanted feathered guests.
A flock of turkeys have made a home at NASA's Ames campus in Moffett Field. Officials sent photos of the fowl, which they say are acting quite foul. They say the birds' poor hygiene and mating season aggression disturb the staff's daily operations. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife says there is an upwards of 30 wild turkeys currently roosting on the research center grounds. The flock has lived in the area for a couple years, but the population has increased and the impacts are more noticeable.
NASA, as a preventative measure, has hired some professional wildlife trappers who are employed by the United States Department of Agriculture. So NASA and USDA are teaming up to trap and relocate these nuisance turkeys.
He said wild animal relocation is usually a last resort, but this is a special situation given the important work done at the Ames Research Center.
We're going to test all these turkeys that we relocate for disease. And so that takes resources. That takes manpower, that takes resources. And then if you think about it, if wildlife is an issue in one area, we would never want to relocate it and just make it somebody else's problem.
He says the turkeys will be released at an ecological reserve in Santa Clara County, where they can roam freely with other turkeys already living there. Palia says no one really knows where the turkeys came from, but much of the state's wildlife lives adjacent to cities.
Essentially, the wildlife who live in these open spaces do their best to get all their food and water resources in the open spaces. But, if their food resources dry up and, if it's a drought year, they may kind of expand their search and then they end up in more developed areas.
A spokesperson at NASA's Ames Research Center told NTD in a statement that the birds have gotten close to the airfield but have not entered. They said the relocation helps to ensure no incidents happen in the future. Officials say if all goes well, the turkeys will be caught, tested, and transported by February 18th. Cynthia Kai, NTD News, California.